So this recipe is, we're using sable fish, and it's kind of a rustic Cantonese style hot pot dish. By hot pot I mean a clay pot. It is typically you would find it presented in a Chinese restaurant in a clay pot, come sizzling to the table and so on. And we'll try and achieve that effect here. Essentially, it's kind of an interesting recipe in that it uses like Chinese roast pork in it. And then of course it uses lovely sable fish, and this sable fish is so beautifully and lovingly cut up for me by Costa. I'm just the luckiest guy really. Like I learn so much from Costa every time I come here, and especially his technique in cutting fish and his knowledge of fish is just amazing. So I'm cutting it in chunks like this, and sable fish, depending on what it's like, sometimes could be a little bit soft, so it could benefit actually from a little bit of brining, just a little bit of salt on it to tighten up the flesh, actually makes it quite nice. This one is got just a perfect texture. Like I can just feel it on just my knife touching it. And then a little bit of salt, cornstarch. So heat up the pan. The best way to do it is actually heat the wok up first without putting any oil in, and once the wok actually gets nice and hot, then you can put the oil in. And this is a lovely oil that was introduced to me by Costa, and it's got a really high burning point and really clean. Don't crowd your pan when you're quickly sort of par frying this. And you see the starch gives it kind of a golden sheen, but it doesn't take away, that doesn't actually cover the fish. So it's actually gets this sort of transparent glaze. Probably the Chinese restaurants are among the first restaurants to actually use unsmoked sable fish. So we're just going to use a very, very little bit of the oil here. And being a clay pot, it's going to take a tiny bit longer to heat up. This clay pot actually is one of those things that is actually being used quite a bit in tableside cooking in Chinese restaurants. So I'm going to put in like a fair number of garlic cloves here. Some shallots. The same thing with the shallots, just add it in and just let it kind of saute, cover this for a second to roast it while I mix the sauce together. Dark soy sauce has kind of almost like a little bit of sweetness to it. And then about the equal amount of light soy sauce, and then some oyster sauce. Oyster sauce will give it that lovely sort of richness. And then we're going to add the pork. And the pork will essentially sort of be braised. So I'm just going to let it cover and let it sort of get happy for about a minute or two. So now let's peek. There's a little bit of stickiness in the bottom, but don't worry about that, because what we're going to do is add a bit of stock to deglaze it, as it were. See, this technique is not just for the French. And so you get this sort of brown bits coming out of the bottom, which is one thing that you want. And so and then we'll add in this sauce, which will really brown it up. And then some scallions. And then we're going to do that little thickening trick again with just a little bit of water and cornstarch. So add it sort of gingerly to see how much it gets thickened. Almost like a gel. And then you want to pour the sable fish in. And you want to just very gently bottom up and over and just fold it in. So I can see it start to bubbling. And then I'm going to put the cover on, and as soon as it kind of gets heated up again, and then you can just bring it to the table, and it will be kind of sizzling hot and retaining the heat a long time, and serve it with rockfish dish. I think would be really appropriate for this wonderful recipe. So I'm just going to put it over at the table over here and show you what it looks like. Open it up. seafood fish with Chinese roast pork and a little bit of oyster sauce. Enjoy.